What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 80 of the Hot Stove Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Nunez, joined as always by Mark, Josh, and Austin here on this beautiful Tuesday evening. You may see behind a couple of us that it's a little bit of Hot Stove after dark, before dark today, because we are recording in the early evening. Austin has volleyball to do tonight, so we decided to kick it in a little bit earlier today, and we have the culmination of what has been like a month and a half worth of teasing, and that is our Hot Stove Madness episode today. So once we get into it, we'll kind of recap who brought what movies in, and we'll go over it before we truly get started. But on the front side, just wanted to give a quick reminder to follow us on Twitter at Hot Stove Pod. That's at Hot Stove Pod on Twitter. Here on the YouTube channel, you can subscribe to the channel. You can like the video. You can comment on said video. What do you think of the movies we chose? Were we wrong in picking which ones to win? That's up to you. And you can also hit the notification bell as well to notify yourself when we put out new shit. Yes, Josh.
I was saying ding.
Ding, ding on the bell. Also, that bell's going to come in handy because we are hitting you with a twofer this week. This will be out on Wednesday. Either tonight or tomorrow, we'll be recording our big MLB season preview that we do every year. Should be a large episode where we'll be talking about most interesting storylines, division picks, award picks, blah, 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 blah. The huge that we do for that kind of a thing. So that'll be out at some point this week. We haven't pinned down when we're going to record it, but within the next couple of days, you'll be getting a second episode hitting your YouTube subscribers feed on this March week. That is it. Oh, also make sure to listen to Outside the Box Score every Saturday at 11 a.m. on the Score 1260. Can you listen on both terrestrial radio as well as the score1260.com. Mark, what do you have in store for the people on the show this week?
Well, it should be a fun one. Hopefully, if I can get enough content. Tomorrow I will be at Syracuse Mets Media Day covering that for the Score 1260. All that stuff will be on social media. So if you want an insight into the Syracuse Mets season, go ahead and follow the Score 1260 on Twitter. I'm hoping to get some fairly lengthy interviews with some of the players on the field. I'll be hanging out with them while they do their on-field workouts. So maybe a few interviews on Saturday with some members of the Syracuse Mets: Francisco Alvarez, Ronnie Mauricio, Brett Beatty, Mark Vientos, four of the Mets' top prospects, all starting the season in Syracuse. So I'm hoping to talk to those guys and get some content from that, and that'll fill up the show on Saturday.
Yeah, that's awesome. So be sure to listen this Saturday and every Saturday. Outside the Box Score, 11 a.m. on the Score 1260. Mark, are you back doing producing work for the Mets this year?
I am. Yep.
Nice.
Starts this weekend. My first game's on Saturday.
Gotcha. You're not on opening day?
No, I'm not on opening day. I work Thursday, Saturday, Sunday this year is my schedule.
Gotcha.
Opposite of same guys last year?
Yeah, opposite Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can say his name.
Yeah. Shout out to Paul.
Shout out Paul.
Lord knows he doesn't listen to this shit. So I'm excited. I'll be headed out to Frontier Field or whatever the hell it's called now. I don't remember. Josh, do we remember what it's called?
Innovative Field
here in Rochester, New York for the Red Wings opening day this Friday. So I believe they're playing the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, AAA team of the Philadelphia Phillies. So that'll be good. I'll be heading there right after work on Friday.
I will likely be going to the Mets home opener, which is next Tuesday. They start the weekend in Worcester against the Woo Sox. So
I see.
The Woo Sox?
Yeah, the Worcester Red Sox. They call them the Woo Sox.
Yep.
As if a child was trying to say the name of the team.
Correct. Yes.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. All right. So that is it for the preamble. Before we get into the content today, please tune your attention to the screen. I don't have anything to share. I just said please on accident, so I had to continue the sentence. Okay. I have trivia for you good gentlemen today, and it's not sports related.
Brendan Fraser.
It is general knowledge trivia, and this is going to be played.
Okay.
Prices. This is fast food trivia, is what it is. This is going to be played Price is Right style, so closest without going over on the number here.
By the way, just a note before fast food. Yeah. How trash I am that as we're on this trip going through like Ohio and that, I'm telling Austin, I'm like, oh shit, they got a Culver's up here, and he's like, okay. And I'm like, well, I mean, just they got a Waffle House over here. Yeah, just naming different fast food places I've heard of. Be like, oh, that'd be nice.
Did you hit on him? Did you go to Culver's or Waffle House or anything?
No. We were on a thing here. I'm sure we could have on the one day if I really wanted to, but no, it was okay.
All right. Well, here is your trivia question. I'm going to ask for a number from each of you. In miles, how far is the farthest away you can get from a McDonald's in the continental United States?
Ooh.
In straight line miles. So it's from one point straight mileage to the closest McDonald's. How far away is the farthest point you can get in the continental United States? And I'll give you a bonus point if you can tell me whoever wins, whoever gets it, I'll give you a bonus point if that person can give me the state that it's in. But first, I just want a number from each of you.
I got my number. If I just
go ahead.
Doesn't 38.
38 from Josh.
I'm gonna go a little higher. I'm gonna say 49.7.
Is this just closest to the? This is just closest, right? This isn't like without going over. This is just closest to.
No, it's closest without going over.
Oh, okay.
Price is Right. Yeah. I could just cheat, but I'm not gonna cheat. I'm not gonna cheat Mark out of a championship here.
Thank you.
I actually had a really different thought than you guys. I was gonna go 140.
Okay.
Oh. Okay, those are some good guesses, some interesting guesses. I'll tell you this: when Tim, friend of the show, Tim Gillard, asked me this question, my answer was 24. That was my answer.
I was originally said 26.3. You can run a marathon to the nearest McDonald's. But.
Yeah. But I will tell you that, Mark, you get the point for this. The answer is 120 miles. 120 miles. Mark, you do not get the bonus point. It is not in Montana. It is in Nevada. In the middle of the Mojave Desert, there is a point in which you are about exactly 120 miles away from 3 different McDonald's locations, actually. From this one point, the 3 closest McDonald's are the same distance from this one point in Nevada.
The Bermuda Triangle. I'm familiar.
Right, exactly. So, 120 miles is the furthest away you can get from the closest McDonald's in the continental United States. I'm sure in Alaska it's a little bit different. But yeah. It is what it is. All right, time to
know
that. You saw it on a TikTok.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, our TikToks are a lot different.
Yeah.
The only time I'm seeing a McDonald's if it's like a McNugget in between some cleavage, I guess. I don't know. That's the only way I'm seeing them.
Yeah.
McDonald's.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
It's time. Yeah. It's time to move on to Hot Stove Madness. Now, we talked about this originally, again, probably 6 weeks ago when we announced it. Both time and whatever. It's my fault. All right. That this episode hasn't come out earlier. I'm lazy. All right. I didn't watch the movies in time. Okay. What the hell do you want from me? And life gets in the way. Shit happens. Who cares? Right.
It's okay.
What we are doing is each of us brought 4 movies to the table. I can share my screen to show the list of movies real quick.
I've got all the movies on the thing. We can just go.
Well, I don't want to reveal the bracket yet, Mark.
Okay.
Yeah. I just want to go a little preamble here. So you see here, each of us brought 4 movies to the table. The list is as such. I brought Collateral, Chef, Foxcatcher, and They Live. Josh brought Memento, Cruising, Rushmore, and Hot Dog the movie.
What is this note next to one of mine?
Sorry,
come on.
Sorry, I had to write a note while I was watching it.
Take a drink every time a doorbell rings. Kind of boring otherwise. Bullshit.
That movie, you know how many doorbells ring in that movie?
A lot of doorbell ringing.
It's absurd. Anyways, yeah. Josh brought Memento, Cruising, Rushmore, and Hot Dog, the movie. Austin brought us Dead Poet Society, Beautiful Boy, Come and See, and Stalker. Almost direct opposition to Josh's list. And then Mark brought us The Big Chill, Needful Things, The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, and The Squid and the Whale. So before we get started, and we have a bracket made, we randomized it. It's just going to be just like that, and then we're going to go through. And we're gonna talk about the movies. We're going to debate which one's better, and then we're going to pick which one is better. Now, the problem is obviously that there's 4 of us. We're going to go back to the hot stove March Madness thing of a few years ago and go with a coin flip in the case of a tie. Yeah, absolutely.
Chaos, baby.
Yeah. Higher seed is heads, lower seed is tails in all matchups. But first, I want to get now that we've seen the movies here, right? And I will say in full clarity, there is one movie that I did not watch on this list, and that is 1985's Come and See, one of Austin's selections. And again, there's no excuse that I didn't watch it, but I will say that I will recuse myself from any matchups involving the movie just to give it a fair shake. So if it moves on beyond the first round of the tournament, so be it. The other 3 can vote on it as they have seen the movie. I will abstain. I do want to go through each of us real quick. And now that we've seen it, now that we've all seen each other's picks and whatnot, I want to ask each of us really, like, why did we pick the movies we picked? And this is really a question for Austin, because I was curious as I was watching these. I was like, why do you pick those? But I'll say for myself, at least, I kind of wanted to go with a mix of movies that I had seen and hadn't watched in a while, like Collateral, for example, like Foxcatcher. I hadn't seen that since around the time it came out. And then I wanted to throw a couple of movies in there that give a little bit of a glimpse into like some of my favorite kinds of movies. Like Chef, I've said it before, is one of my favorite comfort movies. I can throw it on. It's so feel good. And then They Live. I just love really nutso action shit, and sci-fi shit. Like that's all. Give me all the camp. Give me all the Roddy Piper that you can possibly slop onto a movie. And I dig it. So that's how I came up with my list. Josh, why did you pick the 4 movies that you ended up picking?
Yeah, I like to field a lot of recs from people, right? When I'm going through this, it's just anyone. Honestly, the only motivation I get to watch movies a lot of the time is like someone just telling me like, "Oh, you got to watch this movie." So, like for example, Rushmore had been that for a while. Guy had been telling me like, "Oh, you got to watch." You'd already watched. What was the other West? Oh, he'd already got me to watch The Real Tenenbaums, and he's like, "It's same guy. You gotta watch this. Gotta watch it." I was like, "Okay, I'll watch that." Cruising, I would listen to a podcast, and they were just making fun of the opening scene in the bar of Cruising, and I was like, "Okay, yes, I'm gonna watch Cruising." Memento is one that again I'm just fielding recs. When we talked about this thing, I was like, "What's a good movie to watch?" And they're like, "Well, what do you want?" So I'm like, "Rushmore." I'm like, "No, just." Good movie. I'm looking for a good movie. So that's why my list is really just like stupidity. And then I think I actually have one like solid movie. And then the last one was just again Wreck from Pops. It was just like
Hot
this
Dog
movie's
the movie.
hilarious. This is one of the ones that I watched growing up, like whatever. Watched that. And I was like, sounds good. So
All right.
all Rex.
Austin, how did you come to the list that you eventually came up with?
Well, the first movie, Dead Poet Society, I actually was just on TikTok watching Goodwill Hunting scenes, and I just got a Robin Williams movie, and I was like, damn, I kind of want to watch another Robin Williams movie. And yeah, that's basically what my list is inspired by, just kind of movies I wanted to watch, and then I was going to force you guys to watch along the way. And then Beautiful Boy was kind of the same. I had saw this list on Twitter of movies that everyone should see. Just a random jackass on Twitter.
Big Timothée Chalamet fan.
And Beautiful Boy and Come and See were both on there. So I was like, hey, you know what? I'll try them out. Let's see what we got. And then Stalker was one that I had watched previously, but didn't get all the way through. Didn't give it my full attentiveness. So I wanted to give another watch to really give it a chance. So it was really mostly just stuff I wanted to rewatch, and my type of movies are just usually sad movies or psychological thrillers. That's the only stuff I really watch on my own.
So, Austin, you mentioned Robin Williams, and you mentioned the kind of movies you like. Have you seen the movie 1 Hour Photo with Robin Williams?
I have not.
I would recommend giving that a watch. It's one of Robin Williams' dramatic turns. It's where he plays a photo developer who slowly becomes obsessed with a family that he is
It's a good one.
photographizing, photographing. It's very good. It's very good. Mark, to you. How did you end up with this list?
So The Big Chill is just one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. I love the soundtrack. I love every actor that's in it. You know, it's just one of those movies that, for as somber as the material really is, it is sort of a feel-good movie for me, just because I like seeing friends, you know, like get together and do stuff like that. And it's sort of a personal movie for me, because not to get too down, I had a friend who a year ago Saturday committed suicide, and we sort of did the Big Chill thing where we got together and hung out after we found out. We all went to Steve's and just had a big night with probably like 8 of us, like in the movie. And it really it hits home for me. Josh, were you about to ask, is that Steve's Restaurant the official bar of Outside Box Score with Mark Rowe?
You know what's funny, Mark?
Yeah.
I was about to make the same exact joke. I had it loaded
Steve's,
right in my head.
Yeah, Steve's Restaurant.
Set up on Tipper. Where is it again?
Yeah, located at 401 Milton Ave, right in the heart of Tipperary Hill.
The
Steve's
heart of
Restaurant is a great place to go. Ice cold beer, coldest beer in Syracuse. Arguably the nicest people that work there as well. Established in 1937, one of the oldest bars in Syracuse. And beers, it's cheap, it's cold, great people. Steve's Restaurant, everyone should go there. Can you
There's
tell that
also
I'm
a guy that
sponsored?
lives upstairs that frequents the bar.
Yeah, Dan. Love Dan.
Yeah.
Shout out Dan. But so The Big Chill is just sort of a really personal movie for me, and I love it. Needful Things is a movie that my dad, who has seen 12 movies made after the year 1948, really likes. All my dad does is watch Turner Classic Movies. That's it. So he really likes that movie, and it just sort of popped into my head in terms of a random Stephen King adaptation that no one has ever heard of and has Max von Sydow, so that's always a good thing. The Life Aquatic Steve Zissou is my favorite Wes Anderson movie. I think it's very funny, and just a movie that, for a director that I typically don't love, I'm not the world's biggest Wes Anderson fan. I don't know why this movie just hits me. I think it's very funny, and I love Bill Murray in it. And I'm sure when we talk about it, there's going to be a joke that Josh will mention, which is incredibly funny. And Josh and I have just been thinking about it ever since. And The Squid and the Whale, Noah Baumbach's one of my favorite writer-directors, and I had never seen it. So it was more so just an excuse for me to finally watch this movie.
Yeah. Nice. All right. That being said, I'll quit sharing my screen, and we will get on to what Mark has on his screen for us, and that is the official Hot Stove Madness bracket. So you see the seating right here, right now.
Mm-hmm.
We've got The Big Chill versus Collateral, Foxcatcher versus Chef, Hot Dog, the movie, versus Rushmore, Memento versus The Squid and the Whale, Stalker versus They Live, Come and See versus Beautiful Boy, Dead Poet Society versus Cruising, and Needful Things versus The Life Aquatic. These are some great matchups.
These
honestly.
are some great matchups.
Like
Also,
I dig it.
if you told me ahead of time that we had 2 Steve Carell movies on the list and both of them were dramas,
It's crazy.
shocking. Also, Foxcatcher versus Chef is basically just an Oscar battle from 2014.
Yeah. All right. Let's get it started. And we're going to talk about The Big Chill versus Collateral. And I think this is fascinating. I think it's 2 very different films, obviously, in that way. And they both exemplify different things that we love in movies. I want to get your guys' opinion on Collateral in particular, because we haven't talked about aside from we watch Hot Dog the movie together, but aside from that, I know you guys have been watching a lot of them together. I haven't heard any of your reactions or anything about them.
Mhm.
What did you guys? Mark, have you seen Collateral before this?
Yes.
Okay, I figured. Josh and Austin, I guess I really want to hear from you. The people who are watching the movies for the first time, I think, is who I want to hear about most when we're doing these matchups here. I want to hear what your guys' thoughts on Collateral were.
I think for me, I watched it. I watched like the first hour on one day, and then the second day, and that hurt me because I think I would have seen the ending coming if I watched it in one. So like when I watched it the second day, I was like, where the hell is this going? And then I was like, oh, of course, it's the girl from the beginning is gonna be the one. So I was like, I think I would have gotten that. So like I did kind of in my head be like, maybe that was easy writing. Like I couldn't tell if it was like easy to see or I was just dumb because I hadn't watched it on the same day. So that one kind of hurt me. But overall, I thought the Tom Cruise psychopath role pretty well. Plays it good. I liked him a lot in it. And Jamie Foxx also, when he goes mad, is very funny to me when he turns. So I liked it. Overall quality for me. Austin.
I would agree. I thought the acting was pretty good, and I'm just anytime a thriller is on my screen, you're gonna catch me saying that's the best movie I've ever seen. Like 5 minutes after it, and then you give me like an hour or two to debrief, calm down. I'm like, okay, no, that was good. That was good. I can't just keep saying everything's the best I've seen. But yeah, I mean, I'm with Josh. Other than that, I didn't actually break it up. I think I might just be stupid. I don't know when I was watching it. I don't know. I didn't think it was that easy to catch until like middle-ish of the movie, and then yeah, I don't know. It kept me watching the whole time, enjoying it the whole time. There wasn't times where I was zoning out or it felt like it was too slow for me. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'll say that Collateral is one of my favorite thrillers. I love Michael Mann's style of directing just in general. Honestly, is so much. He's so good about using handheld cam and like natural lighting in the city in particular. I mean, you see it in Heat, you see it here in Collateral. Like the way that he shoots nightlife and city life is so real, and it builds a real, like, palpable sense of intensity to just about everything that you see in the movie. Yeah. What about Heat?
Did somebody say Heat? Is that?
Josh, not yet.
Oh yeah, sorry.
We
Not yet.
We
gotta
gotta
wait for that one. Everybody calm down. All right. But yeah, Mark, what's your opinion on this battle between the two before we give our picks here?
This is a really tough 1 versus 16. I love both of these movies. I think Collateral rules. Tom Cruise, play a bad guy more often, please. You're really good at it.
Yep.
And it probably helps that he's also a psychopath in real life. So it's,
Scientology, man.
Scientology, man. In terms of this match, I might be a little biased. Like I said, The Big Chill is one of my favorites and quite a personal movie. So I would lean The Big Chill. But this is honestly a very tough matchup for me. I think Collateral is awesome. Like you said, Michael Mann's ability to make you feel like you're actually there in terms of the setting of the city. Like, I don't know if there's a director that shoots things in cities better than Michael Mann. Maybe Scorsese, just because he's got such a feel, especially if it's set in New York. He's got such a feel for the actual city as a whole, being from there. But I don't know if anyone outside of Scorsese does a better job than Michael Mann. This is a really tough matchup. I personally would go The Big Chill, but I wouldn't fault all three of you for going the other way.
Yeah, and I like The Big Chill, but I will be leaning towards Collateral in this one. And I promise I'm not going to do like the Nunez bias on this thing. I'm not just going to pick the movies that I picked. I can guarantee you that.
No, that's what I'm doing.
Collateral is one of my favorites. Truly one of my favorite movies of the 2000s, one of my favorite thrillers. And it's, yeah, I love it. I'll be picking Collateral in this matchup.
Before go too deep into picks, how did you guys determine how you were going to end up picking which movie wins? Like, was it going to be on rewatchability, how you would recommend it, just in terms of how much you liked it personally, or like?
Yeah, it's probably mostly personal. I mean, as someone who does like very mildly and amateurly write reviews on things, right? It would just be like which movie I reviewed higher.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sort of a combination of all three of those things, Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like for these two, I think The Big Chill is probably more rewatchable just because there isn't the the reveal at the end. That's the thing with thrillers. Sometimes with the reveal, once you already know it, it's hard to rewatch it. And I've personally rewatched it more. In terms of a general recommendation, I would probably recommend Collateral to more people than I would The Big Chill. I feel like it's got a more wider audience value, especially with Tom Cruise, Jamie Foxx, Jada Pinkett Smith. It's stars, the actual stars in the movie compared to Jeff Goldblum, Glenn Close, Tom Berenger, who are great, but these aren't movie stars in the same sense. And in terms of just which movie I do think is better, and I would personally lean The Big Chill, but it's very close between the two of them. So I think that's just what gives it a slight edge. I look at all three of those things.
So just for question purposes, how are we working out a tie here? Just if in case I have The Big Chill here and Josh has
we're doing the coin flip. Yeah,
I've got it ready.
Well, I'm saying going into this this bracket before you revealed it, I wanted The Big Chill to go far, and I'm riding The Big Chill.
I appreciate that. This is a tough one because Mark, we watched this one together, and
we did.
The soundtrack was fantastic for The Big Chill.
Unreal, maybe the best ever put to film.
Great. The best part about The Big Chill for me was just the fact that Jeff Goldblum was a dog. This dude's he was starving out there. He is a pussy hound.
He's going to the dead guy's girlfriend.
He shows up to his best friend or one of his best friend's funerals, sits next to the deceased's girlfriend. I mean, he's going at it from the first 5 minutes. This dude is in there with the widow. He is a dog. I got to respect that. Dogs got to respect it. But I'd love to see a coin toss in the first round. I think Collateral. So let's send it to the
All right. As we said, higher seed heads, lower seed tails.
Heads is The Big Chill. Gotcha.
Yes, heads is The Big Chill. Tails is Collateral. And it's tails.
Collateral.
It's Collateral.
Wow.
Big
I
upset.
apologize.
Dude, are you not going to let me? Oh no.
How does this work?
I don't know.
Have you hit start bracket yet? What are we doing here?
Maybe scroll down, click start bracket.
Oh.
Give me a moment.
Create an
Please
account.
hold.
I'm creating an account.
I feel bad that's the two that we got in the first round though. That's a good movie to lose considering like we could have lost Hot Dog and nobody would have felt bad after the first thing.
What?
But
hey, whoa. I got fun things to say about Hot Dog.
Don't spoil that, young man.
No, I got you.
I got Hot Dog the movie making the Final Four. In the meantime, I'm the only one here who's seen John Wick Chapter 4, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, people. The movie's fucking incredible.
I've heard it's great.
I have seen it.
Trying to go see it tonight, to be honest with you.
I have watched it. I watched John Wick 2 and 3 last week to prep for it because I've seen the first one a handful of times and I hadn't seen number 2 or 3 really since they came out. So I wanted to watch them just to refresh myself on it before I went and saw the new one. And I tell you what, the new one is like full-scale Greek epic when it comes to scope. As you may know, the movie is almost 3 hours long, and a lot of it is really just taking the normal story beats of the movie and just kind of stretching them out, right? Like, so your action sequence that would be 15 minutes normally is now 35 minutes. And yeah, it's insane. And the movie looks unbelievable. I'd like to point out, shout out to Dan Louston, who's done the cinematography on the second, third, and now fourth movies. And I appreciate that his goal with every John Wick movie is to just bring in the most expensive lights known to humankind. And he's just go, let's see how many fucking lights we can put on the screen. How many colors can we show? How many times can we make John Wick's face blue and the other person's face purple or some shit? I don't know. Let's put all the colors on the screen right now. Let's do it. And it was excellent. It's a true spectacle in a way that I haven't seen probably since like Mad Max Fury Road in that way. So almost in the last decade, right?
Is this them like trying to get an Oscar run? Are they going to get Oscar runs?
I think the movie would be. I don't predict it to get any Oscar nominations or anything.
Because it's early.
Um,
It's early too. I mean,
Yeah, it's hard to predict. I mean, you can do some prognosticating knowing on what's coming out. I personally think Dan Laustad would be worthy of a cinematography nomination for it. But the problem is he is also doing cinematography for The Color Purple adaptation that's coming out later this year. So
which just has Oscar written all over it.
right. So that is undoubtedly going to be the bigger Best Picture contender. So the odds that he gets nominated for John Wick over that probably pretty slim. But I will say, and I tweeted about it afterwards, this movie really made me reconsider the fact that like I don't understand why there isn't. We should be having a best stunt coordination category at the Oscars or something like that.
I agree.
They're the only the stunt team is the only like technical team behind films that isn't represented at the Academy Awards at all. Everybody else has awards. We've got cinematography, we've got production design and editing and costumes and VFX and directing and writing and blah 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 all the way down the line, music and whatnot. I don't know why we don't have oh
my god, that was a pain in the ass.
A stunt coordination category. Now I will say that like I get the argument of people that are like, I don't want the Oscars to expand because I want the 24 categories or whatever there are. I want them to mean something still, and I get that. But I do think that it's like there's got to be a way to get a stunt coordination category in it. It's not like other places don't do it. The Critics' Choice does it, right? Like they have, or is it SAG? No, it's SAG. Sorry, SAG does it. They have stunt ensemble categories, right? Like I don't understand why they can do it, but the Oscars can't. And I'll tell you, there's the ultimate action sequence in John Wick Chapter 4, which is probably the last 45 minutes of the movie, is some of the most insane stunt work you'll ever see in your life. I think I counted probably 12.5 people getting hit by cars within like a 5-minute stretch. Like there's just so much going on all at once. It's around the Arc de Triomphe, and there's people getting hit by cars, and they're doing this action scene in the middle of Paris traffic that's going on, and then they transition to a staircase. They're going up and down, and they're constantly going up it, and then they get sent back down. They're going up the staircase. It reminds me a lot of almost like the Levels sequence in The Raid, where they're constantly making their way up the building. But it's excellent. It is truly an action spectacle like you rarely see, honestly.
Not only did I have to make it count, I had to make an entire tournament for this just to be able to make my own prediction about what would happen.
So this isn't even the tournament proper. This is just your predictions.
Yeah.
Nice.
What are we doing?
I appreciate your dedication.
I thought this was just a simple bracket thing.
Now that you set the start date at 6:30 p.m., is it going to lock you out and say that the tournament started already?
You can't do any. You can't do predictions anymore.
That was for predictions. I started taking predictions at 6:30.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Just
sure.
Making sure. All right, let's move on to our next matchup.
We did better now. Okay. No, ignore what I'm doing. I was just double checking.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
Foxcatcher versus Chef. 2 movies from 2014.
I can't get rid of Chef, but
2 movies that I chose. And like I've already said, Chef is one of my favorite feel-good movies. And I will go right off the bat with my choice between the 2 of these. And I will pick Chef. Like I said, I adore that movie. I think it's got an unbelievable amount of heart in it. And there's always, from when I saw it the first time to when I rewatched it this time, the choice to go as like dark and truly nihilistic as Foxcatcher goes. Bennett Miller took a really big swing tonally with the movie because it is a very dark story, but the way they did it first, the way they did it technically just accentuates that. Like the movie, like visually is very dark. It's very muted. The choice to put fucking everyone in these really extreme makeup and prosthetic setups is a choice, is a tonal choice to make the movie unnerving, generally speaking, and it works. It works. Let's say this: there's a reason this movie premiered at Cannes when it came out instead of premiering at like TIFF or something like that. Like it is a cold, distant, dark movie, like truly very dark. And I really do enjoy it, and I think it's impressive. It's just I don't know what it is about this movie in particular, but like tonally, it in that way, I think it keeps me at arm's length a little bit, purposefully, right? I will be going with Chef. I want to hear your guys' reactions to these movies, just in general.
I had seen both of these prior. Bennett Miller, Slick might be the best director working in Hollywood that never makes fucking movies.
Well, Todd Field has directed 3 movies. I just like to point that out.
So is Bennett Miller.
I know, but
Capote, Moneyball,
Todd Field better.
I mean, like to me, I love Foxcatcher, but there's 2 words as to why I'm going to choose Chef. Grilled cheese.
Cubano sandwiches. Damn it.
No, that grilled cheese is the outside of maybe the cheeseburger from the menu is the single best looking food item I've ever seen in a movie. And Chef is just made with so much love. And I love the idea that it's all an allegory for Jon Favreau making Iron Man 2. And the entire movie is actually a straight 1-to-1 comparison about what happened when he was making Iron Man 2. And there's a lot of things that go into Chef, but I just think it's made with so much heart, and I love everything about it. So I've got to go with Chef.
Sheesh. Me, quick and simple. I mean, the movies I picked, you know where I'm going here. I'm going Foxcatcher. I like the eerie. I like the dark. I like the wet. I mean, you love feels good stuff. You love food porn. That's also a fun time. But you guys know where I'm at with the dark, the twisted, the weird, the eerie kind of feel. I like that a lot better. So that's where I'm gonna go, Foxcatcher.
Yeah, I'll say that I did see Foxcatcher before this. Yeah, no need to pull out the coin this time. I think if I had to recommend, if it was a rewatch, this and that, I'd go with Chef for sure.
All right. Next up, Hot Dog, the movie, versus Wes Anderson's second feature, 1998's Rushmore. A movie that
This is a battle.
This is a real battle. So I think Rushmore is really interesting in that this early in Wes Anderson's career, his style, I think, was still in its infancy a little bit. There's a lot of symmetry in this movie, of course, as per usual, but it's a lot more raw, a lot more real per se for Wes Anderson movie, and I think that serves to its benefit as a fairly straight, semi-autobiographical, like coming of age story that applies to not only our main character but to the 2 main supporting characters as well. Like I think the 3 of them are fairly parallel in the story of coming of age. Like the movie isn't about being a kid and becoming an older kid. The movie is about growing up and accepting life in general, right? Understanding that not only the world doesn't center around you, but that sometimes you just have to make peace with the things that happen in said world, and not everything's going to go great. And falling in love with someone or finding that sort of personal connection probably won't solve all your problems. But you'll see, right? And in that way, it's one of my favorite coming of age stories because I do love Wes Anderson as well, as I've said on this podcast. But I will be picking Rushmore. I think it's the better movie. I think Hot Dog the movie. It's funny. We watched this together, and it was boring for the first hour. Like truly, like I don't know why we're watching it. There's a lot of boobies, but that's about it. Some guy who may or may not be mentally disabled gets a blowjob on a ski lift. That was funny.
Hey, whoa. You talking about Squirrel?
Yes. Yeah.
Nickel and dime Squirrel. Come on, man.
But I will tell you what. The the what the hell is it called? The
Chinese downhill.
Downhill, yes, the Chinese downhill
Brought you back.
was like the funniest 20 minutes of filmmaking that I've watched in recent memory. The entire time, for example, we're talking about how like we're surprised that the Asian character isn't racist. Like
he just spoke Japanese the entire movie.
Isn't like a caricature. Like he just spoke Japanese, and then as soon as they go into they're talking about the ending, he goes, "What the fuck is the Chinese downhill?" In like the worst caricature accent known to humankind. Like, and the movie just spirals out of control. The Chinese downhill is insane.
People are getting stabbed. They're getting stabbed.
They're trying to murder each other going down this black diamond. It's insane.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
Almost on cue as we're watching it too. I'm like, wow, this is pretty tame so far for something called the Chinese downhill. And then all of a sudden they're going opposite ways. People are falling down. Yeah, and the mayhem just on cue begins. This is a tough one. These are two of the ones that I picked. You know, I got to pick one that dies. Nunez just had to do this last round. I really thought also, never seeing either of these, I thought that Schwartzman almost had her when they're in her room and she leans in to kiss him and kisses him, and then she's like, wait a second, is that like fake blood? He's like, no. She's like, get the hell out. I'm like, no, he was right there. Which even then, if that was real, she was gonna do it. If he just actually got hit by a car, he's like, I guess I'm gonna fuck this kid tonight. Like, what? What? You were that away? That's all it took? But yeah, I think like better movie, I probably do have to just give up The Dream here. I got to give up The Dream, and I'll go that Rushmore probably is. And Bill Murray's just actually funny in the movie. When he's just on the phone casually talking and then somehow walks through a kindergarten, like a playground, just swats that little kid's ball out of the midair, playing basketball while he's still on the cell phone. Very funny.
Or like the general existential crisis of just ripping a cig and diving into a pool, you know?
Yeah.
Just going nuts, man.
Listen.
Living life.
Rushmore is great.
Yeah.
Shout out Brian Cox. Succession is back. All that good stuff.
Yeah, man.
I gotta go
Succession.
with Hot Dog. I gotta go with Hot Dog. I think it's so fucking funny, man. I don't know. Maybe it's just the fact that Josh Nunez and I all watched it together.
Yeah.
And we were just cracking jokes the entire time. Oh my God. That was one of the most fun movie watching experiences I've ever. They're doing a wet t-shirt contest at a bar.
That was insane. That was like 15 minutes long, it felt like.
It was so long. This movie is softcore porn.
The first 30 minutes, literally just porn.
Yeah. This dude meets a broad at a gas station, and after like 3 days, they're acting like they're married. It makes absolutely zero sense.
He meets her after she gets thrown out of a van by some random dude,
and
then they're dating
for not giving him head,
for not giving him head, and then they're dating not 10 seconds later. It's insanity.
Makes no sense. I had a blast. I'm voting for Hot Dog the movie.
Wow. I mean, for me, it's just Rushmore. I don't know. I loved Hot Dog, but I liked Rushmore just because my comedy's broken. My brain's broken. There's a scene where they're at the wrestling event, and they go over to the Coke machine, and they pretend to fill their cups with Coke. Like in any movie, maybe you don't actually fill them up. But Wes Anderson makes a point to have the characters show you that they didn't actually fill their cups up, and then they just drink them. They drink out of empty cups. And then as soon as you're just mind-fucked by that, they call the freaking what's-his-name's name, and he just pulls off this suit and just gets into his wrestling outfit and goes, "Oh yeah, I'm the team captain," and just walks on and then starts fighting. I'm like, what is going on? What is happening?
That made me think. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that for me, Rushmore just had way more of those moments where Hot Dog the movie was just troll for 90% of it.
I'm not going to sit here and say Hot Dog the movie is the better movie. I just would have felt bad if it didn't get a single vote. All right, I needed to make sure someone voted for Hot Dog the movie. I had a fucking blast. I thought it was so much fun.
All right, next up. What were you going to say, Josh? Sorry.
Just that Austin's makes me think of the other scene too in Rushmore where he's like when Luke Wilson's out to dinner with him, he's like, "Oh, these are my horoscopes." Oh, are they? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a doctor. And he goes, sure. Yeah, I'll have another one.
He goes-
Are you
he goes,
drinking?
that's a nice nurse outfit.
Yeah.
These are ER scrubs.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. Next up, Christopher Nolan's Memento. I believe it's also his second film. Right?
I think so, yeah.
After Insomnia, and then we
Mhm.
have The Squid and the Whale from Noah Baumbach. No, Josh, I know you picked Memento, having not seen it before, and if I remember correctly, when we talked about it, you knew basically nothing about the movie, right?
Absolutely nothing. I read
Okay.
the Wikipedia summary, but not like
Then
not even
I
the summary.
will-
Just the script.
Then I will ask you first. What did you think of Memento in your watch for this?
I think I definitely need to see it another time. Just because, like, even once you get to the end of it, I don't know that you, like, after the first time, I don't know that you're like, oh, that's what happened. I think you're still kind of like, so what? So they were both fucking with him the whole time? Because, like, the whole time, you definitely, he makes you want to think, well, who's fucking with this guy? Is Teddy the right guy? Or is the chick the right guy? Like, who's screwing with him? And you're like, trying to debate on which one's which. Come to find out, they're both garbage people messing with a guy who has a thing. And I mean, the whole thing about, like, basically he's just an unreliable narrator, and that maybe he's just an idiot. Maybe he is just this weapon that he's been used for so long. So I thought it was a total mind fuck. Totally something I need to watch again. But really good, good direction. And I normally hate the movies that just chronologically jump from all over the place for no reason, but the way that it kind of went step by step, backtracking throughout it, it actually didn't like piss me off while I was watching it. I thought it was really really good. So I enjoyed it a lot, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's one of the many ways that Christopher Nolan, in almost every one of his films, but especially the ones that aren't the Dark Knight trilogy, the main thing that Christopher Nolan is interested in generally when he makes movies is time, right? In Insomnia, you have a character who's in a place where the sun never sets, right? So he's always awake. Insomnia, right? In Memento, you have a story that is told in reverse through the eyes of someone with short-term memory loss. So that is a way to mess with time. Interstellar is a movie about interdimensional travel and time through that. Tenet is a movie about whatever the fuck that movie's about, right?
Dunkirk literally has a clock ticking the entire movie.
Yes. Yeah. I forgot about Dunkirk. Yeah. So I think Memento is Nolan's best exercise in filmmaking regarding time. I think the way that he explores that theme in general, or that motif of time, right, is absolutely fascinating in Memento. It is hard to figure out, but in a way that I think, like you said, Josh, like it makes you want to go back and watch it again, right? And I do think the movie is excellent in that way. It's not one of my favorite Nolan films. I don't go back and watch it over and over and over again, but I think it handles that theme of time, right, in the most interesting way that Christopher Nolan has in any of his films. Now, The Squid and the Whale, I also think is just really, it's a Noah Baumbach movie for sure. And all of the Noah Baumbach movies are they're certainly his. They are certainly his. They are certainly autobiographical in a sense, right? And I think in that way he is very good at crafting movies that feel real in the dialogue, right? And it is apparent in The Squid and the Whale as well, right? It was, if I remember correctly, The Squid and Whale was like his real breakout, right, in 2005, right? So it was almost 20 years ago at this point. And I think it's really good. I think he's done better movies since. Marriage Story, but like I enjoyed it. I enjoy both of these movies. I don't think I love either of them. You know what I mean? Like I respect the shit out of Memento just as a movie, right? And I really do enjoy The Squid and the Whale, but I don't know if either of these movies capture me like that. That being said, I will side with Memento for this one. Like I said, I think if anything else, it's like how I had Sundown in the top 10 of my top 10 films last year. at the very least, I feel like I appreciate a film more that gives me more to really like chew and hold on to. You know what I mean? So I'll be going with Memento. I don't want to hear your guys' thoughts.
The Squid and the Whale is extremely my shit. I love movies that are just very dialogue heavy and tell a very grounded story and all that jazz. This is easily Memento for me. I liked Squid and the Whale. I didn't like it nearly as much as I expected to. I love Jeff Daniels, and I love Jeff Daniels in that type of role, but I just didn't connect with the movie like I expected to. Like you said, Nunez, I think most of what Noah Baumbach's done since has been better. And I don't think this is bad by any means, but I just, it didn't hit like I thought it would for me. And all the performances are great and the dialogue's great, all of that. It's exactly what I do love about a movie like this. It just doesn't quite get there for me. And I think Memento is one of Nolan's best. I think Memento is an incredible movie. And ever since I first saw it, I thought it was great. So this is easily Memento.
Austin?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that one. Both of these movies for me are gonna have to be rewatches. Simply, Memento, the obvious rewatch of this is just the type of movie you gotta rewatch 2-3 times, really get a grasp of.
Mm-hmm.
The Squid and the Whale for me was similar to what you said, Mark. I just didn't feel like I connected to it in any way. Like the dialogue, the story, and everything, I felt like just wasn't something I could get into and really feel. It was really just like I was watching from the outside, and that's not really my type of thing. So for me, it's Memento. Just obviously something that I'm going to be more interested in rewatching, trying to dive into. And Squid and the Whale, I'm just going to try and give it another shot without being a hater like I was the first time after the first 30 minutes.
I find it funny that you were like, this is a good role, or you like seeing this role Jeff Daniels is in, because I guess I get it, but I think he's one of the most dislikable characters I've ever seen in a
Oh, he's a horrible character.
Yeah, but
he's a piece of shit.
Right. I mean, easily just every trope ever, just the worst, divorced father ever.
Yeah.
Like, he's trying to bang a high school girl while he's still with his mom like this, just telling her
college.
the secret.
It was college.
Is it?
Yeah, he's a college
Jesse
professor.
Eisenberg's in college then?
Yeah, I think he's like a freshman.
Oh, okay. I thought it was high school.
Or no, he's in high school, but the girl
he like walked campus all the time.
No, but he's a college professor, and she was in his class.
Okay. Regardless, trying to sorry, not an 18-year-old and 19-year-old. My bad. But regardless, I'm like, yeah, I mean, he's just the worst. Mom from Ozarks, she's got it. She still got it back then. She had it. Never didn't have it. Sure, whatever her name is. Great lady.
I think the point of the movie is that no character is really good.
No, they all suck.
It's
a bad family.
Yeah.
Also, William Baldwin might have the most punchable face in the history of cinema.
Who's that?
The tennis instructor.
Oh yeah, Ivar or
Ivan. Yeah,
Ivan.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, not much. We can stop talking about that, I guess. But
all right, next up, I think this is arguably the most interesting matchup here in the first round between Stalker and They Live.
Definitely different vibes here.
Yeah,
I watched Stalker today. Actually, I started at work and I started at work. Shout out to Target, and I finished it. I finished it when I got home from work today. And They Live, we've talked about on the show before. We have talked about it off of the show before. That movie fucking rules. But
yeah,
I just want to say that I adored Stalker. I really did. And maybe it's just because of how much I love Alex Garland's Annihilation. And I now see where he got all of the inspiration for Annihilation.
Stalker is 1979's Annihilation. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I do think there are different themes in it. I think Annihilation does a little bit more with the concept of evil and how us as humans perceive the unknown as inherently evil. But I think Stalker, as an allegory for the oppressive government in Russia at the time, I literally, before we started doing this, I was watching a video essay about this movie because I'm fascinated by it, about Andrei Tarkovsky and his life and the way that he thought about film. And I just thought it's fascinating the way this guy thinks about movies as art and as a means of expression. I forgot what the name of the movie is, but his last movie that came out before Stalker was a movie about this space station that's floating around.
Solaris.
Solaris.
I've seen that as well. Solaris is. I didn't understand it when I first watched it. I had to watch it for a class and write a paper about it. And in the middle of the paper, I understood the movie. So there's actually like a series of sentences where I say in the paper, "Wait a minute, I get it now."
Solaris, for example, the design of the ship in Solaris was, and this is from the video I was watching, was in direct response to 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yep.
Because he thought that the ship in that movie was too clean, basically, when he was making Solaris. But that's beside the point. I think the way that Stalker deals with government and oppression, and again the themes of the unknown in this context. I mean, there are credible theories out there that this movie was almost solely responsible for the death of multiple people on the film, on the film's cast and crew, including Tarkovsky's wife and Tarkovsky himself. He passed away, I think, 5 or 6 years after this movie came out, because of the chemicals that were in the air and the radiation around where they were filming in Estonia. They were filming at this old like processing plant, basically. And that one scene in the movie where there's this red and white foam over the river, and it's just pulsating, right? And you see what almost looks like snow. That is all processed chemicals and paper and like shit that has just been thrown into the river, basically. And it is, I think it's fascinating in that way because of how Tarkovsky very clearly sees nature as an integral part of the way that he makes movies. And having this decaying form of nature in this that almost mirrors like any sort of like nuclear fallout, right? I think is fascinating, and it was, I thought it was mesmerizing. Like I really, really, really loved Stalker, and that's gonna be my pick. I fucking love They Live. Like you said, I showed the Steelbook off when I bought it, and I picked it for a reason because this movie rules. I call it 1984 on crack, right?
Yeah.
Because there's the Big Brother thing, right? Obey, they come, blah blah blah, whole thing. But then there's aliens, and then it's nuts, and there's Roddy Piper in it, and Keith David's in it, and they're going ham. And the movie is batshit insane. But I do love it. Stalker just impressed me so much, like so much watching it. And I will be picking that.
And yeah, in terms of what I think the better movie is, I don't think there's a question. It's Stalker. Stalker's fantastic. Andrei Tarkovsky, he's amazing. Watch Solaris. It's on HBO Max. It's very, very good once you figure out what it's about, which it took me way too long. It's like 2001. I've seen 2001 7 times. I have no idea what that film's about. But I'm gonna pick They Live strictly because I think it's the more accessible movie.
Oh, 1,000%.
I can't recommend Stalker to anyone. Like, here, watch this incredibly dark Soviet drama from 19.
Oh, and I love also, in talking about Nolan, this was a point that was brought up in the video essay that I was watching about Nolan and time, because Tarkovsky does something very similar. In that he plays with time, not thematically, but visually. Like you'll see in this movie, the one shot of them, I can't remember exactly where it was, but they're in the center. They're just sitting down inside of that hole, right? Inside of that bunker. It goes on for 5 minutes, just an unbroken take, just kind of moving around the area. And it's that way that he plays with time is the mesmerizing effect of the movie. Because if you get lost in a continuous shot that is the movie is it's glacially paced in that way. It does wonders for like just enveloping you in this story, and it really helps you almost put you in the mindset of these characters who are experiencing these things for the first time as you, the audience, are. But yeah, I get it. It's almost impossible to recommend it to your average person.
Yeah, I thought Stalker was fantastic. I was looking forward to watching it after I found out it was Tarkovsky, and I just have to go with They Live. First of all, because I think it's an absolute blast. I mean, it has one of the most iconic lines in the history of cinema. I came here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum. And so it just works, and I'm going to pick They Live.
I'll say that one of my favorite parts of They Live is when Rowdy Piper finally makes it and escapes into the woman's apartment, and she helps him inside.
Oh my God.
And he's like, "Hey lady, you gotta help me." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I can help you." And he's like, "No, shut up, you whore. I'm trying to save the world." And he's like, "Oh yeah, let's fuck." And he's like, "No, you crazy slut. I'm trying to save the world. There's aliens." And she's like, "But we could fuck." And she's like, "What's wrong with you?" That's the best. The best part of the movie is her like throwing herself at Rod.
The 38-minute fight scene.
Oh my gosh.
David.
Oh, dude, that never stopped.
Where they tease the end of it at least 4 different times.
It's like a wrestling match. There were false finishes. Like they were like, "Oh, we're down," and then I didn't know belt.
And during the whole thing, you're going, "Wait, this is all because he won't just put on a pair of sunglasses for 5 seconds."
I don't want to wear no glasses. Yeah, it was mind blowing. Movie's hilarious. Yeah, Stalker. I'll save my bigger talk for the next round for it, I guess. But I watched it with Junior, and that was a fun watch. So
yeah, I'm sure Junior hated it and was vocal about it. If I had to take a while,
I mean, he didn't understand Blazing Saddles, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, Junior. I'll tell you this. Yeah, well, I'll save it off. Yeah, he didn't get that at all.
Yeah.
Wait, so what was your pick, Josh?
Stalker.
Okay. Well, this might be spicy. Who knows? All I'm saying is on Mark's side of these things, I'm understanding, like, how can I pick Stalker and have this recommended to any human being ever? If you watch this movie and you aren't interested in kind of what it's about before you start watching it, it's probably impossible.
It's unwatchable.
You gotta kind of want to watch it. Yeah,
it's super visual. It's super quiet in terms of dialogue. It's not something that average people are going to be able to watch, even want to get through.
Yeah, and it doesn't help. It's in a foreign language, and it's glacially paced, and it's almost 3 hours long.
Are you trying to make me change my pick? I might hop super dart out. No, I mean, yeah, the first 40 minutes is in black and white. I mean, yeah. I also learned in that video essay that movie was actually made 3 times, because the first time they lost all of the film to it, then basically the cameras shit out. And
I'm sure there's a real reason, but I like to think someone left it in like the trunk of a car that they returned after release.
Yeah, the cameras shit out and it destroyed all the film. So then they filmed it a second time, and Tarkovsky wanted to do it in 2 parts, but he only had enough funding for 1 part. So him and the cinematographer, they refilmed the movie, filmed it again, and he hated it. He said it wasn't good. So they scrapped it. He fired the guy, hired a new cinematographer, and then made the movie that came out.
Wow.
The apparently the film for the second version, the second version of Stalker is apparently wildly different from what we ended up getting. But unfortunately, that film reel, I believe, was lost. This again, I learned all of this from this one video essay. The film reel was burned, and it was lost in a fire. Basically.
Sure, Soviet Russia, sure.
Yeah. Well, so it's funny. The movie, again, in this essay, I'll just send it to you guys afterwards. But in this essay, he talks about how like the movie can be seen as an allegory for him wanting to leave Russia. Basically, it's like how much he fucking hates the country, because right after the movie came out, he bought a house like in the middle of nowhere in Russia, and then until he died, he basically just moved out to Italy. Just like fucked off and left. He just kept going back and forth, but spent most of his time in Italy for the last few years of his life. So, yeah. Anywho, We still didn't.
All
Yeah,
that being said, I'm going with Stalker.
All right. All right. Yeah. Sad to see They Live.
I kind of wanted a coin flip. And I really loved They Live.
They Live. They Live fucking rules, man.
It's so funny, man.
That movie is so good. All right, next up.
I might have to get that same Steelbook you have.
Yeah, it's the I forgot. Oh, it's Shout Factory. The Shout Factory Steelbook. I think. Next up, Come and See versus Beautiful Boy. Like I said, I have not seen Come and See, so I will let you guys talk through this matchup as you see fit.
I'll start it off. I think Beautiful Boy is great. In terms of the Steve Carell biographical dramas we have on this list, I think this is the better one. I think his performance is just as good, if not better. I really liked Beautiful Boy. Come and See, I liked. It didn't really hit for me. Not in the way that Stalker did. You know, I thought Stalker was fantastic, and Come and See, I thought it was, very good. But I don't know. Beautiful Boy really connected with me for whatever reason. So that's going to be my pick here.
I have a question for you guys. In terms of like a harrowing war story, how harrowing is Come and See? Because I've seen some stuff about it that it's not. Okay.
It's pure death and destruction of war. It's like all the negative.
What I mean. That's what I mean.
Well, yeah, harrowing. It's very harrowing.
Not like heroism. No, I'm talking about harrowing, as in like.
No, like it's harrowing.
Oh, like how grim? Is that another synonym? Would that be word?
Basically.
Fucking the most.
Yeah, it's incredibly grim.
Okay, I thought you meant harrowing. Like it's like they're a winner, and I'm like, he saved the day. I'm like, oh no, God no.
No.
It's unbelievably grim.
Okay. Yeah. Kind of like the most recent adaptation of All Quiet on the Western Front.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, another one that I got the pleasure of watching with our friend Junior, who just didn't understand, anything that's in another language is tough for the kid. Let's just start with that. I think the first beginning of the movie can be hard to even understand kind of what's going on when he's with that chick, and then he goes back with the little girl at the end there after she was brutally assaulted, and then just a lot of shit that goes on. Like literally anything that could go well for this kid Nunez just does.
I don't say this often. I think it was just too much for me.
Yeah, it was literally 2 hours and 45 minutes of just death and destruction, rape,
being
firing. It's so bad as if like he gets recruited by the Russians to go to war or whatever, and then even they're like, haha, you're a little boy, you can't help us, you're gonna stay here and just die. And then they just leave him to die in the jungle because they're like, you're a waste of time. So they take him, and then they're like, who the fuck wants you? And then they leave him to die in the middle of the jungle. It's fucking wild. Nobody. That's one where it's even like Stalker. At least if you like tell someone to watch it, they could be like, oh, I'm watching this. It's supposed to be really good. There's a lot of big allegory, this and that. If I'm trying to get to like what Come and See is all about, couldn't tell you. Like in terms of like what there is.
War
like,
is hell.
Other than that, like that's a hard sell. And with all
that's a story as old as time. I mean, Saving Private Ryan did the same goddamn thing.
Sure,
war is suffering.
Yeah, but the opening scene to Saving Private Ryan is hilarious. So
it had charming Tom Hanks. This doesn't have.
It does have charming Tom Hanks in it.
So I'd go.
The guy taking off his helmet and then immediately getting shot in the head. I'm sorry, it's so funny.
I will be right back. While you guys finish this, I gotta go get some more water.
Okay. Yeah, Beautiful Boy though. I'm kind of with you, Mark. I got more talk. We'll talk about that in the next round.
I think we just save Beautiful Boy talk next round. I'll say the same thing. Come and See it just didn't hit. It's the same feeling like Stalker hit, where I felt like I was captivated by it in different ways. Come and See, I just felt like I just didn't feel it. I didn't really enjoy it too much, and that's my type of stuff. And it just didn't. It didn't hit for me. Beautiful Boy, I have a lot more to say, but we could just save that for the battle next round.
I will let you guys take the next round and run with it because I also will use the latrine while I'm up. And I will be taking Dead Poets Society as my pick for the.
Are you sure? You sure about that?
Okay, so let's get into it. A Dead Poets Society, obviously, Robin Williams, classic. I mean, fantastic movie. And the one that Josh and I literally cannot stop talking about. every time we talk, we randomly break into Al Pacino impressions about him being gay. Josh and I watched the Scream movies together, and we came up with the fact that Al Pacino is Sidney Prescott's uncle and keeps reminding her that
Cindy, it's Uncle Al here.
I was
That's
in the
right,
1980 film Cruising.
Yeah, because not only does he's Uncle Al that happens to come to her often, he has to remind her, you know Al Pacino from the movie Cruising.
1980.
That's me, gay
And O'Neill
nightclubs.
was in it.
Honestly, every movie ever that we watch from now on,
Yeah.
Al Pacino is somewhere in it. Even including Al Pacino in Al Pacino movies. So we've
Yes,
watched since
you're
then
right.
Al Pacino movies coming to him in Two for the Money when he's a gambling addict. He'd be like, Al, this is Al from 15 years ago. You know not to place that bet. Come on, Al. I mean, I think this movie has revolutionized for me. And honestly, if I was telling somebody to watch, I think there's better. I mean, you just said it. You were watching Good Will Hunting. I think Good Will Hunting's the better full movie of drama
agree.
Robin Williams. So if I would even given a rec of that, I'd say to watch that movie. I think it's a better watch with Damon and him.
Mhm.
And I think Cruising, honestly, if you can get through graphic gay sex scenes, which sounds bad because, like, grow up, be a fucking man.
No,
You can see a guy
it's-
get fisted. Grow up, okay?
Yeah.
But all grow up. It's gay sex. You've all
But
seen it.
It's like there's parts of that
graphic.
movie that it is pretty great, and you're not seeing like it full cock and balls, but like you said, they're in a club and someone is like spread eagle and someone else is like whooping up their hand, and like
Their
their
forearm.
entire forearm, and you know exactly what they're doing. Like
Right.
it's that's hard for a lot of people to watch.
So yeah, I think definitely though, like in terms of like if this like it's kind of turned into a like I'm giving it to people to watch, like Dead Poet Society. I think there's better even drama Robin Williams joints. Very good, like it. Oh, Captain, My Captain. I mean, historic, awesome stuff. I think Cruising's an Al Pacino movie that a lot of people don't know about. That's like you said, it's still young Al Pacino. So as much as I'm doing that
Yeah,
movie,
that's not his
it's really
voice.
not how he sounds in that movie at all.
Not at all.
But I think Cruising's one that's actually probably interesting to see young Pacino and how he takes on a character, and he really throws himself into
And
the
he's
lifestyle
great.
as a role. Yeah, like as a what do they call those people? Like Sam, whatever his name is, character actors.
Yeah.
Like as a character actor, Al Pacino really takes this one, and as much as it's funny and stupid and over the top, homophobic almost, like it's almost anti-gay. It's so gay that it's
Yeah.
almost anti-gay.
That's what I
if
was
that
thinking
makes
as well.
sense. But
Which is strange, but also
Yeah.
it does, and like because there was a lot of backlash around this movie being homophobic,
Yeah.
but very early on it's looking at one specific subset of this community.
Yep.
Like nothing about this movie is about gay people as a whole,
Yeah.
and they go out of your way to tell you that because there are like quote unquote normal gay people in it, and they're like, yeah, I don't do that fucking like no,
Yeah, like that's crazy. No,
Yeah.
I just kiss guys. That's
yeah,
all.
like
That'd be weird.
it's very much only in the S&M stuff where
Yeah.
they're doing a deep dive, which is a very interesting thing to do a deep
The
dive
old
on.
yellow banana or yellow bandana.
Ban-
right
yeah.
there. Yeah.
So
I
This-
think Nunez is gonna be mad that we're picking this one. I don't know about you, Austin. I don't know what.
Yeah,
you
I don't know what
I'm
else-
certainly not picking Cruising and would never watch it again.
Okay.
And wouldn't recommend it to a single other soul. But
All right, then we'll have when Nunez gets back.
It'll be
we'll
a coin
a
flip.
coin.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll flip the coin when he gets back.
Damn it! I think you'd be
No.
bad if Cruising gets through. But I'm telling you, I'm gonna tell everyone to watch Cruising now. I mean, I do.
I
I
thought it
didn't
was
really
good.
like any part of that movie. Like not a single moment.
I guess taking it back from the troll aspects too of it that I now like in it. It was the lighting was so bad at times, and I think it's
That's
to show how
true.
dark and like sick.
Yeah,
And I don't mean to say sick because they're gay, but like sick that type of like. Sorry, that's not even. I don't know if anyone was even thinking that. But how sick and twisted.
Certainly
it was.
wasn't.
Yeah, my bad. How like twisted it was just to like be in those fears that like it was hard to actually see the suspects, like who he's hooking up with.
There-
They all look the same. The
Yeah.
killer and the second guy he fucks, well maybe whatever. They all look the same to me. So it's like it's really
Mhm.
hard to actually tell the detective work that's going on at times. But we got a coin
Nunez.
flip, Nunez.
Yeah, I know. I've been listening this whole time.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
So, what was the higher seed again? It was Dead Poet Society. So that's heads, Cruising is tails.
So like, is cruising really like
It's
that,
Dead Poet Society.
that gay?
Oh, if you haven't, yeah, it's
quite gay.
It's very graphically homosexual. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see, like Mark said. I mean, there's a guy spread eagle, and he's lubing up his entire forearm, getting ready to just
in the middle of a nightclub. This isn't in a bedroom.
Yeah.
This is surrounded by other people watching him do this.
There's a 3-minute wide like pan scene almost of just all the gay activities happening in this nightclub that apparently is supposed to actually like be some club in the city in the 80s or whatever, in the late 80s or late 70s.
I just wanted to hear you talk about Dick and Balls again. I thought it was funny. Anyways, we'll move on to Needful Things versus The Life Aquatic, the last matchup in the first round here. Another fascinating one. The Life Aquatic is a movie that I hadn't seen before.
I think this one's a wash.
It's yes, but I do want to talk about it because I think The Life Aquatic somehow, in a very unique filmography, occupies a very unique position in Wes Anderson's filmography. Arguably, I don't think it's out of the realm to say that it might be Wes Anderson's like strangest film, like the weirdest way that in its presentation, and the way it goes about the themes, the normal Wes Anderson themes of family and finding connection in unlikely places and whatnot. And I will say there's one shot that's stuck in my head the entire time when they're on, I don't know the names of parts of boats, right? But when they're standing there, Bill Murray's got the binoculars and he's looking, he sees the other boat and it zooms out, pans over, and then there's a snap zoom onto just the people standing on the other boat. I thought that was hilarious. It's just a shot that's just stuck in my head. And as I wrote in the note that I wrote for Needful Things, that I think the real most fun part about the movie, and it falls into the category of Stephen King movies that you never hear about for a reason, not because it's terrible. Like it's not what the hell's the name of that movie? Sleepwalker? Is that what it's called? With the cat people?
Yeah, I think so.
It's not that. That is fun. All right. But it is just like kind of bleh. I don't know. I didn't really love it. And I think that you should play a drinking game where you take a shot every time a doorbell rings in the movie. It might hurt. Might hurt a little bit. But I think it would be fun because there are a lot of doorbells in the movie.
I like Needful Things, and part of it is just the fact that I love Ed Harris and Max von Sydow, two of my favorite character actors. Yeah, no, this is The Life Aquatic. I'll let Josh get into his favorite part of the movie because this is another thing that him and I can't stop joking about.
There's like 3 parts that come to mind with Life Aquatic. One of which first is when to talk about how Junior doesn't get movies things. I've told this, I think, to Austin and Mark at this point. But Nunez, you'll appreciate the fact that just in terms of that slapstick type deadpan comedy, and when he's talking about like talking to his wife, and he's like, "You know this, I'm bad at apologies, so you know I won't spend too much time on it. But first off, I'd like to apologize." And it's like it makes no sense why I would say that. Second is at the very beginning when the guy gets thrown off and he gets instantly eaten up by some wild thing, and Bill Murray just starts going fucking crazy. I forget the line that he says there. And the third one that I remember is the interview scene where the girl is interviewing him, and she's like, "I think you're fake. I think everything you do on here is fake." He's like, "You think I'm a fake? I think you're a fake, huh? You think this gun's fake?" And points the gun in his face. Just randomly pulls a gun. She's like, "I think that's uncalled for." He goes, "Yeah, you're right." And just pulls the gun down, like, just no need, just out of pocket. Love it. Austin will mention this scene. Yeah, you think this gun is fake? Austin will mention this scene, I'm sure, where like you can do it, kid. You know what I'm talking about. They're walking.
Yeah. There's a scene where they're Bill Murray is just walking with Owen Wilson through the entire ship. And like they're trying to get all the way to the other end of the ship, and they're walking away from the girl, and then all of a sudden it's like 5 minutes of this scene, and they're finally to the other end of the ship, and you just see the girl walking up like a ladder, and she's just there, like, but beats them there, and she was just laying in bed when they left, and I was just like, wait, what? They just walked across the entire ship, and she's already there. She was laying in bed, and it's just that absolutely stupid. Like, if you're not paying complete attention, you won't see this absolute nonsense humor. I love that movie. Needful Things. I actually, hear me out. I like that movie too.
I think it's good. I really do.
But I'm also gonna go with The Life Aquatic here. That's just I don't know. That's just again my type of humor.
Is that our first sweep?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Second round. We move a little quicker here as we inch towards the conclusion here. Collateral versus Chef. I love both of these movies. I really do.
Same.
But I think I'm gonna pick Chef between the two of these. Chef is a movie that's endlessly rewatchable for me. And as much as I like Collateral, Chef, I don't even know what it is. Like Chef just holds a bit of a special place in my heart, I guess. I'll be picking Chef out of these two.
I think I got to go Chef as well. I love both of these movies, but in terms of like which one I would recommend to more people, I can recommend Chef to anybody. And I think anybody has the capacity of enjoying Chef. And, Collateral, for as well as I think most people would like it, there is a small group of people I could see disliking it. I don't know who would dislike Chef.
My mom.
Probably orphans.
Probably orphans.
Orphans would probably dislike
I don't have a dad. This movie didn't do it for me.
Oh, yeah.
food
Recommend this
available to me.
movie. Sure. I'm going to love this one, huh, Mark?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Good thing I don't talk to many orphans.
Same.
Wow.
Stink. No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
Wow. I'm gonna go Collateral here. I'll break the silence for that.
Yeah. My chef critique when we first watched it, I think I even told Nunez, where I'm like, there's just no conflict after one point in the movie, right? Where like he ends up like overcoming the fact that this guy talked bad to him, and then he's just like, yeah, I don't care. And like nothing goes bad. And at first I took that as like a very bad thing, but yeah, I get that it doesn't have to always be a bad thing. It should be a fun time. And it's just a fun experience with a dad and his kid. And I would pick Chef.
All right.
Nice.
Wow.
Chef moves on. Rushmore versus Memento. Rushmore is one of my 3 favorite Wes Anderson films, maybe 4. When I'm trying to wiggle it out in my head, it's between, for the top 3, for example, it's between that and the Royal Tenenbaums is which one is gonna hop right in there. But I will say that I do love both of these movies, but Rushmore, I'm an easy lay for this kind of shit. Generally speaking, like figuring your life out movies, just in general. That's why Cha Cha Real Smooth was number 2 on my favorite films of 2022 list. So I'm going to pick Rushmore between these two. I do like Memento quite a bit. But yeah, I will pick Rushmore.
As a noted, not huge Wes Anderson guy, and I just like Memento better. I think Rushmore is good. I have nothing against Rushmore. I really have nothing against Wes Anderson. I just think for the most part, his movies aren't as good as everyone says they are. I think they're good, but I don't think outside of like Life Aquatic and Royal Tenenbaums, I don't know if he's really made great movies.
That is so disrespectful to Moonrise Kingdom and the Grand Budapest Hotel.
I think both of those are fine. The other one I'll throw in there is Fantastic Mr. Fox. Fantastic Mr. Fox rules.
Oh, that movie is awesome. Yeah.
But so that's the other one I'll throw in there. Those are the 3 that I think are really great movies that he's made. The rest of them I just think are pretty good. Where I think Memento is a great movie, so I'll go with Memento.
I'm gonna go Rushmore here. You know what? It's not like me to go comedy over psychological thriller type ideas, but I'm gonna go Rushmore.
See, yeah, I think it's not like me to go psychological thing over comedy, but I think I'll go with Memento here. So,
Coin flip time. Memento is
higher
heads.
Memento.
Memento is heads, and Rushmore is tails. And it's Memento.
Memento,
That will be
moving on.
There's
moving
Marky.
on here.
Big
All right,
Mark.
next up, Stalker versus Beautiful Boy. And I know Austin, in particular, you wanted to talk about this movie here in this round. So I will let you guys, and whoever has like burning thoughts on the movie, take over for that one because we didn't really get into it in the first round. I'll say when it comes to Beautiful Boy that I think it's a good movie. I think it's buoyed by 2 great central performances. But I think beyond that, the movie didn't quite really resonate with me. Like I thought it was good and I thought it was effective. It's just not the kind of movie that like I tend to flock to, honestly. That's a complete personal taste matter, I feel, with that. Whereas, like I said, Stalker blew me away. Really, it did. So my pick is Stalker, but you guys, if you have anything else to say about Beautiful Boy before making your pick, please do.
For Beautiful Boy, I think it did a very good job about addiction and told a pretty good story. That's just something for me. That kind of story, that kind of thing, can't really be told in a movie because you'd have to make the movie 6 hours long to really get the impact of addiction back and forth with the failure idea, which they were trying to hint at. You know, you can never really recover. You're always just not doing drugs until you're back.
You're
again,
a recovering addict
again.
for the rest of your life. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and that was really the central theme, and I thought they did a pretty good job. And I assume you're talking about Timothy Chalamet's performance, which I thought was phenomenal.
Exactly.
I still am gonna go Stalker as well, but I really did like Beautiful Boy, and I think they did a better job than most kind of more modern movies do with the addiction and that type of stuff. Most of the time they try and go with happy ending. It's always easy, 1 or 2 tries and you're back on your feet type of thing. And this movie tried to like steer away from that, and keep on conflict. This is hell. This is life type of idea. And I really like that, but I'm still going Stalker.
Austin, I'll step this one up for you. Have you seen Requiem for a Dream by any chance?
No.
Okay. You should watch that movie.
That movie's too much for me. I can't.
Early
Is it about
Aronofsky.
Or
No, it's about heroin.
Yeah,
Heroin?
it's about heroin.
This is what it's about.
And it's about heroin. It's not a metaphor.
It is about heroin. I'll tell you that much.
Nice.
Yeah, Josh, what do you got about it?
Yeah, I'm with you, Nunez. The acting in Beautiful Boy really keeps me interested in it. Steve Carell's great. I mean, from just the person watching, I'm like, I feel bad that the dad is trying so fucking hard. I guess it's the whole thing. I also, same thing when I first watched it. I was like, so this kid's just a kid who smokes pot with his dad once, then gets addicted to fucking heroin. But I guess that's like kind of the point too, that like anyone could just kind of get down that track. Like he is a white kid from this thing, whatever, and like it just happens to get into drugs. Like shit happens. Like that's just how these things work. So whatever. Stalker's still one that I'd rather give to someone. If you're gonna get into it, really get into the weeds for a movie between these two, I'd give it to Stalker.
I'll just say quickly, I personally would go Beautiful Boy. Movies like this are like Squid and the Whale. I said is extremely my shit. Movies about the struggles of addiction, for whatever reason, get me every single time.
Yeah,
I bawled my eyes out watching Beautiful Boy. I cried like a baby, just like I did when I saw A Star Is Born in theaters, just like I do every time I watch movies about this subject matter.
I cry every time I watch Requiem for a Dream.
Fair.
I don't.
I cried tears of fear when I watched Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah, that movie more than anything. I'm sorry that this is a tangent, but that movie more than anything, it might be the singular movie that makes drugs, like hard drugs, look the
horrifying.
Scariest. Yeah. You want a scared straight program? Show them that.
Yeah.
Right. You will never touch heroin if you watch that movie.
Yeah, it's. Ugh. I'm gonna have nightmares tonight, but I really did enjoy Beautiful Boy, and I'll just say I probably would have had it winning this. Moving forward, I thought it was fantastic.
Nice. Dead Poet Society versus The Life Aquatic. Dead Poet Society is good. It is good. We've hashed it out here, right? I just tend to lean more towards the quirky shit. That's just me, right? And Life Aquatic. Again, this the interview and the gun is just so fucking funny.
It's so funny.
It's so funny. Like that kind of humor, like that is my shit. And I will be riding with The Life Aquatic in this one.
Same.
Yes, same. Sorry, I'm trying to find one of the videos from.
I'm also riding with Life Aquatic. Surprisingly,
Nice.
Life Aquatic, the only clean sweep we've had, and it was twice.
Yeah.
Easy
Shout out to
bracket
Life
down there, I
Aquatic.
guess. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, an easy region, easy path to the Final Four. All right, Chef versus Memento. I have already talked about the fact that I think Memento is good. I just think that it's a little too tangled for its own sake in some points, and I think that that's a problem with Nolan movies. Just generally speaking, like he gets so far into the weeds on a lot of things that. Oh, and by the way, I talked about Nolan in Time, and I didn't mention Inception. Kill me.
I was gonna bring it up, but I didn't. Yeah.
Anyways, I think Nolan occasionally can get into the weeds a little bit of his own ideas, and I do think that this movie, in as fascinating as it is, I don't think it quite captures me in the way that some of his other films do. And like I said, Chef is just endlessly watchable for me, which is almost like as good as anything. Like I've seen Zombieland about 30 times in my life. Because like I can just watch that movie over and over and over and over again and not have a problem with it. I might even watch it tonight. I haven't seen it in a while. But yeah, I will be picking Chef.
I'm gonna go with Memento.
I'll also go Memento.
Yeah, I'll go Memento on this one.
All right. Totally fair. All right. Stalker versus The Life Aquatic.
By the way, should be noted, one of all four of our movies made the Final Four. We each had
That
one
is
in the Final Four.
true.
Look at that.
That is true. Yeah, go us. We picked some good shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Stalker versus The Life Aquatic. This is fascinating.
What a dichotomy of film.
Yeah, these two movies could not be more different, I think.
Yeah.
If they even
I feel
tried,
like
really.
I feel like especially this is gonna be troll because when I pick the movie I pick, it's just I'll tell you right now, I'm picking Life Aquatic, but it's just troll because if you recommended a movie to someone, you're like, all right, do you want to see a really fascinating, amazing movie to delve into, or do you want to watch a dumbass comedy that's just gonna you just don't even know what's going on? It's just and they're gonna be like, why wouldn't you tell me the great movie? I'm gonna go, you know what? Because you just gotta see Life Aquatic.
And generally speaking, random Joe Schmo, you'd probably hate the great movie if I had to if I had to take a guess. And I do think there's an interesting point with that too, because like The Life Aquatic, like I said, is probably like the strangest Wes Anderson film. Like it's arguably the most fantastical, or if not one of, right? And it is the whole conceit of it is just in some ways pretty odd. But I think he works it well. This is really hard for me, truly, because I do really like The Life Aquatic, and it is those beats are things that I love, right? And as a Wes Anderson mark, it's a kind of movie that I can really dive into. But I did love Stalker, and I love a good like thought-provoking sci-fi film. Is like some of my favorite stuff, generally speaking, right? Again, I brought up Annihilation, which now just seems like a facsimile. I've seen this movie that came out 40 years beforehand. A movie like Under the Skin comes to mind, even though they're not very similar in content, but in like their abstraction, in the way they treat sci-fi and the human condition. But I will say that generally speaking, there's going to be more rewatch value for me in The Life Aquatic. I will see Stalker again, and like I said, I finished it and immediately started watching a video essay about it. Like I find it so interesting, and it's one of those movies that I could read about forever, really. But The Life Aquatic, there's an immediacy to it in that way, even with how strange it is, that I just can't get over it. I will pick The Life Aquatic as well.
I was gotta say, this is like when you originally pitched this idea on the basis you thought a Shrek versus Schindler's List matchup would be hilarious.
Yes.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is our Shrek versus Schindler's List.
Yeah.
The peak of Tarkovsky cinema versus Bill Murray.
Versus Wes Anderson's like fourth or fifth best movie, in my opinion. We're vibing on a boat, and Bill Murray's there, and they're making a documentary. And then there's a shark and whatnot. And there's another boat. It's a whole
for
thing.
Killing the shark. Revenge.
Right, exactly. Yeah, this is our Schindler's List versus Shrek.
Well, I'm going with Life Aquatic. So that pushes it through. Josh, what were you going to vote for?
Yeah, I mean, I think I go the same way. This is where I've been kind of picking like the anti-comedy.
Life Aquatic sweeper again.
Fuck. We'll see.
You know what's funny is like this movie for me was like a 6 out of 10. Life Aquatic. It wasn't like it was like 10 out of 10. I'd watch it 100 times over. I thought it was good, not great. There was a lot of funny moments, but it's just swept like 3 rounds in a row, and I just keep picking it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Like I just
You might want to raise that score, buddy. You seem to
yeah,
like
I
it a
might
lot.
have to raise that score.
Shout out to Austin's letterbox profile that he used for about 2 seconds, by the way. Shout out to that.
Damn, I gotta get all these in.
Yeah. All right, our final Memento versus the Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. I'll make it quick. I will be picking the Life Aquatic. Again, part of this just comes down to rewatchability factor for me, and the Life Aquatic is, in my opinion, a more rewatchable film from an entertainment perspective, because I get the idea of watching Memento and being confused and be like, I gotta watch it again.
Mhm.
I gotta watch it again. Arguably, we have to watch it a third time, right, to really get it. But sometimes I've been in the mood recently where I want to watch movies that do one of two things, whether they either like truly confuse me thematically, like Stalker did, give me a lot to chew on, like a lot, something really dense, and Memento is one of those movies. Or I want something that like I need vibes, not even just like a fun movie that I can turn my brain off to. I need vibes, and Wes Anderson movies scratch that vibes itch in my brain that I think just kind of pushes it over. And again, if this were a different Wes Anderson movie, I wouldn't even be having this internal monologue. Like, that's my favorite thing about it. The Life Aquatic is a really good movie, but like, again, if this were Moonrise Kingdom, like I wouldn't have even had to do this preamble, right? If this were the Grand Budapest Hotel, I wouldn't have had to do the preamble. If it were the Royal Tenenbaums or whatever, right? But I will pick the Life Aquatic to be my winner.
I'm gonna pick the same. I'm gonna go Life Aquatic as my winner, even though I'm probably gonna rewatch Memento before Life Aquatic. That's for other reasons, obviously. That's just a movie you gotta see twice. But yeah, I'm gonna go Life Aquatic as well.
Mark?
I'm really split on this, man. I'm really split on this. Do you know what you're picking, Josh?
No, I don't want to be a homer, but also like I do really feel like I'd want to watch Memento again, because I'm in the same boat as Austin. Like, I remember too when we first watched it, I was like, there were 5 funny parts of that movie, and the rest of it was meh. Like, I remember saying that, and I was like, do I really want to recommend this to now somebody? But also, again, it has been killing the rest. Like, I think it's like a team just gets hot in March, and I kind of want to pick it. Like, I'm like, holy shit,
is FAU.
Yes. I think this is Cinderella. It might just be it, because I like the more and more we talk about it, Nunez is right. Like, we just like this movie. Like, the highs were very, very high. Like, the funnies of it were very fucking funny. Whereas, like, yeah, even the bads of Memento, I was just like, it was almost left me more confusing, which I get. That's the whole fucking thing of the like genre. But I mean, and also, Mark, here's the thing: I don't want to leave it to a coin flip on the winner.
I don't either.
I think it's just this is March. And
I think it's
hot,
I think it's Life Aquatic.
All right. The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou is the winner of the inaugural Hot Stove Madness bracket. Now, before we head out, I do want to ask each of you guys. This was stupid. I do want to ask each of you guys, what was your singular favorite movie out of the 16 of these? I will say that mine, maybe it's recency bias, right? I would probably go with Stalker, or because Stalker at the very least scratches like the loser film bro part of my brain, right? Like I get cinema, you know, I watched this movie and I understood it kind of. But either that, or I would probably go with Rushmore as my other favorite here.
Can we pull up the list real quick here?
Oh yeah.
I know we've been talking about it for the last hour.
Funny enough, actually, I think those are my top 2 as well, Stalker and Rushmore. I mean, if I was like grading them on a 1 to 10 scale. Those are my favorite two. But more, I'm telling you, the more I think back on Life Aquatic, there's just more moments that I thought were funny that I gave credit for at the time. So I think that'd have to be up there as well.
I think best movie it introduced me to was The Big Chill. I think that being one just that I had really never even heard of. Like most of the other ones on the movie, I've been like, okay, I knew that. But like just The Big Chill was definitely the one that I was like, oh, okay, this was nice and something that I could see myself rewatching is too. Mark just appreciating the hang of Friends. That's one. Also, as an idea for something in the future, just being the fact that Bill Murray ended up being in multiple movies on the board here, and Steve Carell, Robin Williams. I don't know, maybe not Robin Williams. Whatever.
He's in
picking an actor and going to like 8 of their movies and making a mini bracket could be very funny.
Oh, that could be.
As we've been doing this.
We have to do it for Pacino.
A Pacino bracket.
I've been thinking about the fact that we could do this more often than once a year. Let's put it that way. Right.
We'd have to do a Pacino bracket, but no Godfather.
No Godfather. Yes, Jack and Jill for Dunkachino.
Bango. He really consumes the role.
I'll go with one that wasn't on my list because personally, The Big Chill is still my favorite movie on this list, but I think that's a cop out. So I would say, well, the most fun I had watching one of them was Hot Dog. I'm not going to say that that's my favorite movie on the list because it isn't, but it was easily the most fun I had watching them. I'd probably say Chef. I think Chef is really, it's between Chef and Beautiful Boy. Because Chef is the more feel-good one, but Beautiful Boy is the one that really got me. That's the one that out of all of these that I was really like, damn, that's cinema. So between those two.
Josh, did you give one? I'm sorry, was it?
The Big Chill.
Missed it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. All right. That does it for Hot Stove Movie Madness, March 2023. Like I said, I've already kind of been cooking up ideas in my head of ways to continue to do this, make it a little bit of a recurrent series. Not every fucking week. I mean, we have to watch the movies first to be able to do the thing, right? But to do it more often because this was fun. I really enjoyed the prep work behind it, and I really enjoyed doing this exercise on video. But in the meantime, before we do that, we have other things to do, including our MLB season preview that will be coming out later this week. So to be on the lookout for that, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment on this video. What was your favorite movie out of these 16? And hit the notification bell as well to be notified when that video and the rest of our videos and content get uploaded to the channel. Also, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Hot Stove Pod. That's at Hot Stove Pod on Twitter. And listen to Outside the Box Score every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. on the Score 1260, both on terrestrial radio, AM radio, and on the Score1260.com. That does it for Hot Stove Madness. I'd like to thank you for watching. We love you, and we will see you next time.
Peace.